My name is Joep Karskens. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm 23 years old. And I came here to Lund in August, to study a 2 years master program, Loomis.
Okay, thanks. And from now on, please look at me.
Yeah.
And not into the camera. Okay, what do you think is 350's objective?
Building a climate movement, but then that movement has an objective as well, of course, which is the ultimate goal of 350 would be to stay within the 350 ppm limit of CO2 in the atmosphere.
Okay, and what do you think, what is their strategy to achieve that goal?
Building a climate movement. So mass movements, protests, and different like campaigns, like fossil free. The fossil free movement is part of that. Basically, trying to build a movement bottom up, so grassroots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay. How does 350 frame, which means like how do they present their message?
How do they? Well, for me, the most visible way of them presenting themselves is through social media. There's a lot of. They have a really active, like, social media team working, and yeah.
And what would you say, how do they communicate the problem with climate change? Like, do they say it's a problem for economy, or it's a problem because of biodiversity loss, or how do they reason for their activities or for their engagement?
In speeches of Bill McKibben, I think often he doesn't necessarily elaborate on it too much, but basically says if we exceed the 2 degrees limit, then the planet will fundamentally be like inhabitable, or like less really, like a lot less what do you call it, like less habitable. Yeah, so referring to like major changes in society as we know it now, by floodings, of course, and climate disasters.
Where do you get the information from about like the objective and the strategy?
Where do I get the information from? A few documentaries, like Do the Math and what is the other one called? Disruption. I think mainly those. And for me, the Naomi Klein book, This Changes Everything, is closely related to the whole 350 organization and movement as well, climate movement as well.
Okay. How is leadership organized in 350?
I'm not exactly sure about that. So, well, that for one thing, that means that it's not too much top down, because like we don't necessarily deal too much with leadership from higher up. It's more in my experience, it's more a facilitating role that the organization is giving. For example, like giving the dates, like this Global Divestment Day, but then and like stimulating to organize something, but it can be anything, and they provide, for example, resources like some money for it, but then everyone can do their own thing, and they combine all that and like make a social media campaign of that again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What is Bill McKibben's role?
Well, I'm not sure what it is now, since he stepped down as the main figure. Um, what it used to be is spokesperson, I suppose. Well, founder, of course, and then just the main figure. Um, so um, the idea that I have of it is that he's like spent the last couple of years, perhaps, last couple of years, basically traveling around, giving lectures, mobilizing people, participating in protests, and in that way, just trying to like spread the word and mobilize.
Mm-hmm. And could you imagine 350.org without Bill McKibben?
Yeah, I feel like it is at the moment, since I'm not sure how it is at this point, but after, I think it was the same day that he gave his lecture here in Lund, 3rd of December, he sent an email out to all the 350 members that he would step down as the main figure. So I think, he doesn't have a really active, like, probably like an advising role to the boards. He's probably still in the board officially. I'm not even sure about that. But I don't think he should be seen as the main figure at this point.
Mm-hmm. And how is leadership organized in your local group?
There's more active and less active people. There's more dominant and less dominant people. But there's not necessarily a coordinator and or like the one who leads the meeting, or it goes a bit like in a more fluid way. But there are definitely a few people that are more, not necessarily more dominant, but take more initiative as well, for example. And at the same time, people have different knowledge and experiences. So when there need to be send an email to someone of the university board, and someone has always been doing that, then it's obvious that person will do that. Or when there needs to be like contact with the media, then probably Caroline will do that because she has more experience with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How do you communicate with 350?
Caroline has regular contact with the Swedish coordinator, and I think there are Skype meetings, group meetings with all the different campaigns, but it's in Swedish, so I've never participated in that. But there's a few more who have been doing that as well. It's not just Caroline doing those Skype talks, I think. For the rest, not necessarily. We send her an email when we have some questions or when we need some money. Yeah.
And what way do you feel that your local group is involved in the overall strategy? Kind of, do you have an influence on it, or?
Yeah. I feel like the overall strategy. So the divestment movement is only a part of the broader overall strategy, but within the divestment movement, we're part of making it a reality, like on the ground. So the divestment movement um, only exists out of all those local initiatives, basically, because otherwise there wouldn't be, like, there needs to be put pressure on the public institutions individually to convince them to divest, and that's what we're doing here. Well, at least that's um, the initial phase. Like, after this, when the ball gets rolling, it might be that big institutions, will start divesting out of themselves. But at this point, at least, it's important that, yeah, that on public institutions individually, there's a local campaign group pushing them. Yeah.
Okay. Which meaning does 350.org have for your local group? Like, do they facilitate or define the direction, or
They facilitate. They, yeah, they define the bigger picture. Like, of course, separately, it doesn't necessarily matter if one institution divests or not, especially if it's not really a lot of money. But it is like the whole the combined movement that gives shape to, like, the strength of, yeah, of the movement in total. So 350. Well, yeah, in specific events like the Global Divestment Day, today and tomorrow, that has been initiated by 350. They come up with strategies to make the movement one movement, and, like, connect the dots. And they organized, for example, the climate march in September. They provide us with resources for events. We can ask for some money to organize things, and yeah, and they help in the sense that, for example, when we would convince the university with the argument of it would be really good for your reputation, then that is because there would be an entire organizations that would like spread the word and, like, create media attention to the fact that they divested. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how does the movement influence the forming of identity of your local group?
The forming of identity.
Yeah, like your group has a certain identity as a group.
Yeah.
You're this fossil-free group of Lund.
Yeah. Yeah.
How is
yeah.
this, like, identity of your group influenced by the movement?
I feel like we definitely feel part of that bigger movement because we see the other successes and other campaigns going on, like, over social media and everything, and yeah, so it makes us feel part of something bigger, of course. And their successes, like other successes in other places, to me at least, feels like successes for us as well, or like, yeah, it feels like we're part of that movement. So wherever there's a big success, feels like a personal victory, basically. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's answering the question.
Yeah, I mean, does the movement To which extent does the movement influence how you define your group, how you perceive your group as? I mean, do they, maybe because they have this overall strategy already, kind of show the way on how you could evolve as a group, because you only have a certain room, or is that like, I don't know how to explain it better. Is there certain values that are given by the organization, by the movement, or does it come from inside your group, how you define yourself? For example, that you are.
Okay. I guess, like, it's, for example, it's not a like the type of actions within the social movements are not very radical. For example, I think that's mainly, yeah, like there's a lot of similarities between the different active groups, because there's some sort of shared yeah shared culture or shared identity. Yeah, like nothing specifically, I guess. Like they don't. Well, I mean, there's a like a manifesto on the website of 350, but that's not a relevant document in that sense for us. Um, but yeah, I guess if we as a group would be really, like, more radical, for example, or like would would not necessarily fit in the picture of the overall movement. Well, I don't know. I don't. It's not necessarily a problem, but I guess I guess the broader movement, yeah, forms us a bit, in the sense that, yeah, like when we get ideas for different actions, of course, so that, in that sense, but at the same time, it's something separate as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was very
Yeah,
extensive.
okay.
Thank you. To which extent is your group self-organized or dependent on the movement? It's kind of the same
Yeah.
direction. If you want to add
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, self-organized, but there are things like, especially in the last couple of weeks, a series of web workshops and web like group Skype talks to get some ideas and to see what's going on in other places, to get some, like, motivational and strategic speech from Naomi Klein, and so in that sense, yeah, those things influence us, of course. Well, I mean, yeah, it's not that we've all been watching that together, but I've been watching that, for example, so it influenced me and my ideas about our campaign here. But for the rest, we just do our own thing, basically.
Okay. So would you say that your local group has a lot of freedom in its decision?
Yeah.
And how does this freedom look?
Well, there's freedom because there's not even that much contact, even with the rest. Like, we update each other within those Skype talks, for example. But yeah, there's no framework of these are the things you need to do or these are the things you can't do. I suppose that if we would do something stupid or something that could be uh, like unbeneficial for the rest of the movement, then they would not support it, in the sense that like they would not give money for it, or they would not um, like use their social media to share whatever has been going on. But like I don't feel like they would be able to come here and tell us no you can't do that. Like, that's, I mean, yeah, because yeah.
And would you wish for less freedom, like more guidelines or so?
No, not necessarily. I think their approach is to try and facilitate us, and I think that is the right approach. But their resources are limited, of course, and they can't facilitate us perhaps as much as they want and as much as I would want. But I don't think that they should have another approach in that. I don't think that there should be more leadership or more
Do you have any improvements in mind for the cooperation between your local group and the movement? Oh, wait. Oh no, I don't know when it stopped. The card stopped. But it hasn't been for long, I'm sure. Okay, wait. I'm gonna get... Did you answer the question which improvements you would wish for?
No.
Okay, so which what would you wish for?
Which improvements would I wish for? In the cooperation between local and the broader movement. I don't know, like it's just that in Sweden, for example, all the distances are so big that it wouldn't really be possible to meet in other ways than those Skype talks. So I think, I wouldn't really have ideas for improvement. Actually, no.
Good.
No.
So now it's gonna be around your local group. Whom do you address to become active members? Like, who's the target group that you would go to and say, hey, do you want to be?
Well, students in general, of course. We haven't actively been like recruiting for members. But we've, like, within our personal networks, or I at least, like, among my friends here in Loomis, I've been trying to push people, like, to stimulate them to come to meetings and help organizing.
On this point, I have a graph here, which is called the Six Americas, which is like now for the Northern American room, that like people can be in one of these six
Categories.
What would you say where people come from that join the fossil-free campaign? Like, here's on the scale, like here people believe
in global warming, most concerned, most motivated, lowest belief in least concerned, least motivated. Proportion represented by area. Alarmed, concerned, cautious, disengaged, doubtful, dismissive. Um, well, concerned or alarmed. I'm not sure about the difference. But and I mean, yeah, it depends. It could be either one of them. Like to to become active in some sort of movement usually depends on more factors than just how worried you are about the issue, of course. So yeah.
Okay. How do you? Oh, you said that before. I think social media. How do you share information among your local group?
Facebook page. Yeah, that's what we yeah, and then some have each other's phone number and they call and yeah. But I usually yeah we just talk over Facebook and meetings, weekly meetings. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any form of organizational language, words and phrases that are particular to your group? Like, for example, like slang words, something that you only use in this group. You know what I mean?
Uh huh.
So, like, for example, like we say "lumates,"
Uh huh.
something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
No, no, I can't think of anything. No.
Okay. And do you have any form of visual signs or symbols that are particular to your group, apart from like the official?
Uh huh.
Signs?
No, no.
Okay. And who decides about the design of means of communication, like posters and stuff like that?
Well, whoever is good at it. So we'll be having a meeting, for example, and then the point will come up. We need to make a poster, and then we ask who can make the poster. And last time with the event for tomorrow, Pontus said, I'll make the poster," and then he designed something and puts that on the Facebook page, and we comment on it. But that's how it went last time as well.
And is there any guidelines you follow, or do you just do it as you wish?
Uh, it could it could differ like from time to time. I suppose that time, for example, when Ponte said, "Yeah, I'll do it," then after that we discussed it a bit with the group, and then we think of a few things. But yeah, there's no like no one has like authority in that of like being able to okay, this is how we're gonna do it. Yeah.
And is there anything from 350, like any guidelines, visual guidelines?
The logo, of course, of fossil free in general, and of 350, but we haven't been using that. We always use the fossil free logo, and then for today there was a logo for global for today and tomorrow for Global Divestment Day, but we forgot to put that on the poster. But yeah, so there's a few like small logos and symbols, but for the rest not.
Okay. So we're almost done.
Yeah.
This is the last part. What does it mean to you to be part of an international movement with coordinated action moments, like the Global Divestment Day or Climate March?
What does it mean to me? What it means to me is I feel like those global movements are essential, are needed to like to face the challenges, the global sustainability challenges, and so I do my best in contributing to uh, to those global movements as much as I can. But usually that's not like usually you can't you can't do a lot except for um, waiting for some kind of organization to organize a march, and then you can go to the march. But yeah, in this case, it's way we can do a lot more because it's something that we can organize grassroots. So we can do basically as much as we want. We can do something every day, in fact.
But does it like somehow influence you that you know that your local group is part of something bigger?
Yeah, yeah. That's like apart from that, it doesn't really make sense to me. That's to me the big thing is what matters, not necessarily if like where the university puts its money. Like of course that matters because it's part of the big thing, and of course like for the same reasons, like the moral reason, it would be immoral to stay invested in fossil fuels. But what I mainly care about is the bigger picture.
Okay. And what does it for you, like being part of this movement, what does it to your personal sense of hope for the climate?
Um, any form of like momentum that the movement is able to achieve feels like a possibility of change. So any form of success of the movement feels like a step in the right direction. Although there's like at the same time many steps going in the wrong direction as well, of course. But at least, yeah, those movements, um, and yeah, seeing the movement grow and seeing how the march, the climate march in September was covered by media, for example, and the impact that had on how the media talks about climate and the climate movement. That is something that definitely gives me a lot of hope. Yeah.
And this is also like, as you said before, sorry, I asked the question. Does how does divestment campaigning influence your personal sense of hope? Like specifically, does this, or is it just as being part of the movement?
Divestment campaigning, it gives me hope because I see a certain strategy, bigger strategy behind it. Um, like a process of taking away the like the social status, the how legitimate the fossil fuel industry is. We're basically attacking their reputation, not necessarily their financial resources, because I mean they have so much money that the divestment campaign doesn't necessarily directly have a a major impact on that, but it's the social status, attacking the social status, which can lead to bigger steps, such as, for example, in the climate negotiations, like the UN climate negotiations, telling the fossil fuel industry that they're no longer welcome there, that they shouldn't be a negotiation partner if they're the cause of the problem. And this is a step towards actions like that as well. And I think those are the important steps.
Okay. And do you see yourself as an individual agent of change?
Uh, I not not really. Yes and no. Like individually, I think of what I can individually do to contribute to the movement, but like to contribute to the collective efforts of making a change. So, yeah, the change should come from the collective. But individually, I can contribute to that.
But then inside the group, you kind of merge your change agency with the whole group. So you don't.
Yeah, so in that sense, like, yeah, so for the specific university campaign here, because we're only like, let's say 6 to like 8 active members here, it matters a lot what every like individual member does, of course. So if I put more effort into it, I might stimulate the others to do more as well, and we can achieve more. And eventually, we'll do a lot more as a collective. So in that sense, it matters a lot what everybody individually does, of course. Yeah.
Okay. And do you have any further information, topics, input, something you want to tell me related to research?
No, I guess not.
Okay. Then thanks again.
Yeah.
That was very nice.
Mm-hmm.